Hi everyone. So the topic for today is neuron, a unit of nervous system. So let's have a look at the structure of neuron. What exactly is the arrangement of this, the dendrite part? Just a second. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So let's get started. So let's have a look at the dendrite part and how it is made, and the different types of neurons which are there. So we will see that. So before that, let me introduce myself. I am Vani Kari, biology educator at Unacademy. I am an engineer with bachelor's and master's degree in biotechnology and a B.Ed degree. Also a founder of a startup where I grow microgreens by vertical farming technology. Just a second, I'm not able to find the chat. So let me just check this. Okay. I don't know why there is no option. I need to do something with my YouTube. Maybe I need to fix that. All right. So anyway, so you can join with us in Telegram. So for homework and class notes, you can join the channel Vani Kari ICSE class 9 and 10 and Telegram channel of Unacademy ICSE and ISC boards. So you can find this link in the description box. Okay, so you can click on the link and join the channel for updates regarding the classes. So let's get started. And there is free classes, or which we call as special classes on Unacademy platform. So there also you have an option of chat and emojis. Okay, so you can take up these sessions there as well. Okay, and we are conducting the classes over there where a live real-time interaction will be there. So we can conduct one shot revision, the poll wars, also solving the specimen question paper, the strategies to crack your finals. So you can take up these sessions. All you need to do is download the Unacademy Learner app and select the category ICSE for class 6 to 12, and then you can start attending the classes taken by different educators. And other than that, there is there is an option for typing in your question and attach an image and send it to the educator during a live class. So the educator is going to get a notification that the learner has asked the doubt, and they'll be clearing your doubt. Okay, so also we are conducting a poll war, that is a quiz. So you will be getting options which you can choose, and after that we'll be sharing the leaderboard. Okay, so this will tell you your rank so that you can compete with your friends as well. So Unacademy plus subscription features. So the one which I was discussing, so these are free classes and these are the plus classes. Okay, that means here you need to take a subscription. So one thing is you can learn live from the comfort of your home, unlimited access to all the courses. There are different educators so who will be launching their courses on different chapters. So you will have access to all of those courses. Then top educators of India are going to take the classes in one platform, so that is Unacademy platform. Then there is regular doubt clearing session. So after about every 3 session, the fourth session which we are conducting, so that is a doubt clearing session. Okay, so whatever doubts you have related to the topics that are covered in these 3 previous sessions, so you can clear your doubts. So let's say you do not have any doubts, so maybe we can revise it, or we can conduct a practice session, like we will be conducting a poll war, or a discussion on question answers can also happen. So exhaustive coverage of a syllabus, then mentorship and guidance is given, study material is given, the practice test, live test series. Then you will have access to different batches. So let's say you want to you prefer to learn in Hindi, so you can go for the batch which is the mode of delivery is Hindi there. And if you are willing to learn in English itself, then the mode of delivery is English batch is also there, so you can go for that batch as well. So you will have access to all the batches, all the language batches, so you will have access, so you can go for any of these. Then daily practice session, weekly mock test series, live quizzes, daily MCQ and subjective test series, so you will have access to all of these as well. So if you are planning to take a subscription, so let's say you want to try like how exactly this works, so you can go with the 3 months of subscription. And if you are planning to complete your class 11 and 12, so maybe you can go for more months of subscription here. Okay, so this is completely depending on your convenience again. Okay, and with the referral code, that is Vani YT. Okay, so with this referral code you will be getting 10% discount on the subscription. So basically you are getting 10% off on your subscription. Okay, so the topics that I am going to cover today, so it is the coordination, the need of a nervous system, and let's have a look at the structure of a neuron, the neurons and the nerves. Okay, so moving on to introduction. One second. Okay, so coordination, so in case of coordination, so how exactly the information is being carried from a sense organ. So now this is a skin is there, then your eyes, nose, then the tongue is again having a taste bud, so or ear also. So in all these sense organs, so they are able to carry the information. So information is being carried and then it is taken to the brain. Then the brain is going to respond in such a way that it is going to send a signal through the motor neuron, and motor neuron is the one which is sending the signal from brain to the effector. So effector can be gland or a muscle here. So let's have a look at the pathway also. So before that, the coordination, when we mention, it is the process through which two or more organs interact, okay, and complement the function of one another. So what is the organ now? So let's say here I have a pen. Okay, so now my one thing is, anyway, the hand is holding this pen and I am able to see this. So it is not that only one organ, the brain is interacting, the eye is interacting, and the hand is interacting, and my mouth is explaining. So lot of organs, they are all able to do this coordinated work. So that is because sensory cells which are there in a hand, okay, so they are helping me hold this. Okay, so brain is asking my muscles to hold my hand in this way so that I am able to hold. Now the light rays are going to pass from this particular object into my eyes. So now what is going to happen? The photoreceptors, that is sensory cells which are there in my eyes, so they are able to get the sensation or basically impulse, because the light rays is the impulse there. Okay, so this is received by the photoreceptor, again it is going to the brain, then from brain through the sensory neuron it is going to the brain. So basically the pathway is this one. So from receptor, okay, so from receptor it is going to the brain, okay, that is through sensory neuron. Then from brain it is going to the effector, the impulse is sent to the effector, that is muscle or a gland, through the motor neuron. Okay, so this is the pathway and here the action will be performed. So here all of these not organisms, organs, okay, so all these organs are coordinating in a manner, and that is how the functioning is done. So an organized group of specialized cells. So what are those specialized cells? So those are actually the neurons. Okay, so these are transmitting the signal from different parts of the body and coordinate their actions. So there is a coordination which is done. So these highly specialized cells are nothing but the neurons. Okay, so neurons can be smaller also, neurons can be larger, like longer also. That is because, so let's say it is starting from your head and it has to go till the hand part, it has to go till the leg part. So these can be meter long as well. Okay, so now this one, let's have a look at what exactly is present in these neurons and why it is not once the brain is developed, So there is no further growth. So there is no cell division. There is no neuron division which can occur because there is no centrosome present in case of neurons. So neurons are lacking a centrosome. So there is no what we call there is no division which we can see, cell division. So that is why fixed number of neurons will be there, and depending on the number of neuron, the intellect is gonna intellectual property, I mean intellect is gonna vary. Okay, so not IP, intellect is gonna vary. So that is basically intelligence. Okay, so here I'll just explain that. So depending on more of a folding, so let's say this is a brain now, so there are more of a foldings which are present. So here the cerebellum part is there, here the pons. Okay, so these foldings what you find, okay, so these are going to increase the surface area, and because of that more accommodation of neurons can occur. Okay, so more and more of this neurons can accommodate if the surface area is more. Okay, so surface area is more, so there is more accommodation of these neurons, and because of which what will happen, so since these neurons are associated with many different functions, so it can be with respect to cerebrum or the cerebellum or the pons. So in all these cases, so they will have their specific role. Okay, so let's have a look at the neurons and the nerve. So what exactly is the difference between a neuron and a nerve? Okay, just a second. Yeah, so neurons, when we mention, so these are highly specialized cells in a neural system. Okay, so neural system is nothing but the central nervous system, the peripheral nervous system. So there is everywhere we can find. So in this part mainly the nervous system, so we can find these structural and functional units. Okay, so these are the structural as well as a functional unit. Why do we say that it is a structural or a functional unit? That is because the brain is formed of a neuron, so it is a structural unit. Now when we mention the brain is again it is a functional unit, so it is the all the sensation that we are able to find, so that is mainly because of the function which is done by the brain itself. So it is a functional unit as well. Okay, so the carrying the information or carrying the impulse which is done, so that is mainly for a functional unit. So highly specialized cells in the neural system capable of detecting, transmitting and receiving various type of signal. And then nerves, when we mention, so it is a collection of neurons. So many neurons are present in there. Okay, so need for a nervous system, or why exactly do we need this nervous system? So it will keep us informed. Okay, so nervous system in our body, so this performs the following major function. So what is it keeping us informed? So you can hear different sound, you can also smell things, you can also see this beautiful word. Okay, then other than that you can touch and feel, so this is again because of the skin. Okay, so now all these organs, so taste also, so smelling is anyway done, the tasting also, so again your tongue is having a sensory cell. So with respect to all of this, okay, so all your sense organs what are there, so they are keeping you informed about the surrounding. Okay, so this keeps us informed about the outside world, that is through the sense organs. Okay, this also enables us to remember, to think and to reason out. So this is also done. Okay, so enable us to remember. So how are we able to remember? So in the cerebrum, okay, so there is a cerebrum part, the cerebellum part, then pons part and the medulla oblongata part is there, right? So cerebrum part, a part is responsible for memory, a part is responsible for thinking, again a part is responsible for vision, hearing. Okay, so all the different parts which are associated, so they will enable us to remember, think and reason out. Okay, then controls and harmonizes all voluntary muscular activities. So different muscular activity, the cerebellum is the one which is responsible for muscle coordination that occurs. We are able to, I am able to sit in this particular position now, so that is because there is a coordination which is occurring in between, between my abdominal muscle and the leg muscle. So if there is no coordination, then I cannot sit, because let's say there is there is a twisting up of a muscle which has occurred. So in all those cases, you cannot move in particular direction. Okay, so this could be another reason. But the coordination, that is the pulling movement or antagonistic movement, what we say with respect to muscle, so that has to be there, then only there is a movement which we can see, and that is performed by the cerebellum. Okay, so cerebellum looks after the muscular activity. The muscular activity is not with respect to this, that is the balance. Okay, so I'm talking about the balance. So balance is looked after the cerebellum. Okay, so controls and harmonizes all voluntary muscular activity. So that is running or even holding this book in your hand while you are reading it. So all of this is a part of a cerebellum itself. Regulates involuntary activities such as breathing or beating of a heart without our thinking about them. So this is all done by the medulla oblongata. Okay, so medulla oblongata, what is that? So you can, there is respiratory center, there is cardiac center, which is basically controlling the mechanism, that is involuntary activities which are not under our control, but who is controlling them? It is the medulla oblongata which is controlling all of these structures. Okay, that is the activities with respect to different organs that are there. So structure of a neuron, if we have to say, so neuron is having three major parts. What are the three major parts? So one is the cell body, dendrite and axon are present. Is the slide visible to you all? Just a second, let me just check. Yeah. I think yes, it is visible. All right. Okay, so let's get started with this. Okay, so structure of a neuron has three major parts. Okay, so axon is there, dendrite is there, and a cell body. Okay, so axon, when we mention, so this is a long process, you can see here. So this one is now a cell body. Okay, so cell body is there. Okay, so there is a dendrite which is formed here. So this one is a dendrite, and this part what you find, so these are dendrons. Okay, so dendrons are there, and these branching what you see, so that is a dendrite now. So here also you can find a dendrite. So now this structure what you see here, so it is a long fiber extending from the cell body. So all of these are short, only one long fiber is extending as such. Okay, so that is from the cell body itself, and whose distant end is again branched. So you can see here the distant end is again branching, we can see with respect to distant end. Then dendrite, so these are the shorter fibers which you see here. So these are the short fibers that branch repeatedly. So there is a repeated branching and project out of the cell body. So here you can see there is a projection out of these. Okay, so they are projecting out of the cell body, and these are the shorter fibers which are repeatedly branching. Okay, then cell body we have to see, so contains a cytoplasm. So this contains cytoplasm, as you can see here. So this part is going to form the cytoplasm. The cell organelles are there, and certain granular bodies called as nissl granules. Okay, so that also you can find. So what exactly is nissl granule? So we will have a look at this one. So you can see here, so this is the structure which is given in your textbook. Okay, so this part, this curvature extension what you find, so this is a dendron now. Okay, and this part what you see, so these are the dendrites. Okay, so these are the dendrites, and as usual you can see a nucleus over there. So there is a nucleus. This one is a cytoplasm. So in cytoplasm what do you see? So you find a nissl granule. So nissl granule is named after the scientist who discovered these granules. So that is the name of the scientist is Nissl. Okay, and these are actually when the endoplasmic reticulum breaks down. Okay, so when tiny parts of endoplasmic reticulum are formed, so that itself is forming a nissl granule. Okay, so cell body which is there, so this is the cell body now, so I'll just show you this. So this part what you find, so this one is the cell body. Okay, so cell body is actually called as cyton also, perikaryon also. So why do we call it as a perikaryon? So this is a nucleus. Okay, so nucleus is there, so surrounding the nucleus you find a cytoplasm. Okay, or we can say surrounding a nucleus the structure which is there, so that is a perikaryon. So peri is for surrounding, okay, carry-on is for nucleus. So surrounding the nucleus this thing which is present, so that we call as a cyton, perikaryon or a cell body. And then there is this long process which you see here, so this is a long process from the cell body itself, which is again ending with the terminals as such. So there is an axon ending which you can see. Okay, so then other than that, each of these are again having a nucleus. Then you can see this outer one which is there, so this part, so this is a neurolemma covering is there about the myelin sheath. So you can see this is a myelin sheath now. Okay, so this inner covering what you find on both the side, so that is actually the myelin sheath, and myelin sheath is further covered by the neurolemma. Okay, and wherever this myelin sheath is not there, so you can have a look at this diagram. So at this junction there is no myelin sheath, only neurolemma is present. Okay, so only neurolemma is present over here, but the myelin sheath is absent at this particular junction, so that we call as a node of Ranvier. Okay, and again this is named after the scientist Ranvier itself, so since he discovered it, the name is given as a node of Ranvier. Then extra cells covering the axon, so these are the extra cells, so that we call as a nerve fiber, and this one is a axon ending. Any doubt till here? So other than that, we saw this one. Okay, so cell body, the perikaryon, well developed nucleus, granular cytoplasm, that is a nasal granule which is a breakdown product of an endoplasmic reticulum itself. Then it is having all the cell organelles like other cell, but the centrosome is absent. Okay, so what is the role of centrosome? So centrosome, when we mention, the main function is cell division. Okay, so cell division will occur because of the centrosome. Okay, but now as the centrosome is not there, so the neurons do not divide because the centrosome is absent, so neurons do not divide, so there is no cell division in case of a neuron. Okay, and that is how fixed number of neurons will be there. So number of neurons are fixed number in each and every individual. But again, so here you might think that so you might have heard about brain tumor and all. Okay, so there is a brain tumor. So if the neuron has lost the capacity to divide, what exactly is dividing it? Okay, so what exactly, because cell division, when we mention a tumor or a cancer, okay, so uncontrolled cell division is the a definition which we describe with respect to, so this is uncontrolled cell division. Okay, so this we describe with respect to neurons. Okay, so this is for cancer. Just a second. So this is with respect to cancer, we say uncontrolled cell division is there. Okay, but here as you can see that there is a formation of brain tumor, but neurons have lost the capacity to divide. So how exactly this is happening? So all this is possible because there is in association with this neuron, you can find a neuroglia. Okay, and neuroglia is having a capacity to undergo cell division, and that is the one which can cause the brain tumor because of this uncontrolled cell division. Okay, so it is not the neuron, it is only the neuroglia which has got the capacity to divide, as it is having a cell division organelle, that is centrosome. Okay, So other than that, the synapse is there. So synapse is a point of contact between the terminal branches of an axon of a neuron with the dendrites of another neuron separated by a fine gap. So let's have a look at this one now. So this is one neuron now. Okay. So then neuron is there. So this is the axon now. So axonal terminal is present. So this is the axon ending. Okay. So as usual, the nucleus, the dendrites and other things are present. So this is an everything. So all of these are present here. So there is a branching. Then you can see a myelin sheath, a neurolemma covering you can see. So again there is a myelin sheath over here. So again there is a neurolemma covering. So this we call as a node of Ranvier. Okay. So this is a node of Ranvier. Alright. Then you can see again a myelin sheet covering everywhere. Okay, so we will just complete this one. So this is actually the structure of a neuron now. Okay, so we can draw one more also as the space is available. So now this one over here, this is a myelin sheath. Okay, so there is a myelin sheath and there is a neurolemma covering that myelin sheath. So this one is a neurolemma, and again don't forget to add the nucleus here and there. So there has to be nucleus which has to be mentioned, okay, because it is the boss of the cell. So this is the case now. So in this case I was discussing about the synapse. So now the signal is received from one of the neuron. So in association you can find another neuron having this whole structure as that of this one. So now that is of axon is there, axon terminal is there, cell body is there. So there is a nucleus over here. Okay, so now as the information is carried from this one, so impulse is going to be transferred through these structures, and then it is at the end of this axon terminal, so we can see a pouch like structure where neurotransmitters are deposited. Okay, so these, as this impulse is sent here, so these neurotransmitters are released from this particular structure called as a axon bulb. Okay, so now as the diffusion has occurred, so now this cell body is going to receive that signal, and then it is conducting the signal to the respective part where it is joining. So here this point of contact between the dendrites, so you can see dendrites also I'll draw. Okay, so between the dendrites of one neuron to the that is here, that is between the cell body of the another neuron. Okay, so here the cell body of a this thing, that is dendrite of a cell body is there, and then axon terminal is there. So between them the gap which you find, so that gap is actually mentioned as a synapse. Okay, so this one is a synapse now. I hope I'm audible. So there is some disturbance with the video, right? Okay, so let's have a look at the types of neurons. Yeah, so we have already discussed about this one. So let's have a look at the types of neurons which are helpful for all the sensation, all the sensory feelings that we get. So this is all because of these neurons. So let's have a look at the pathway now. Okay, so let's say here we can take an example of a hot object itself. Okay, or maybe hot food is there. So let's take an example of a hot food. Okay, so now what will happen, so you take this hot food, okay, so that is into your mouth. Okay, so your mouth is having the receptors. Okay, so receptors are there for this hot food. Okay, so now this food is hot. All right, so for that what has to be done, so this signal, so the food is hot, this signal has to go where, it has to go to the brain. So that is going through the sensory neuron. So here the sensory neuron is playing a role where it will take the information to the brain. Okay, and in brain you can find a association neuron. Okay, so there will be a association neuron which is actually connecting the sensory neuron with the motor neuron. Okay, so motor neuron is the one which is going to connect the information. So what happened here? The hot object which you kept in your mouth, so sensory cell detected that and the information was sent to the brain. So in brain there is association neuron which will connect or which will transfer the information from sensory neuron to the motor neuron. Okay, that is across the brain only it is done. So now what is gonna happen? So this motor neuron is carrying a message, so it is basically a effector. So effector, when we mention, it can be either the muscle or the gland for the function. So now if when I am keeping the hot object, okay, so my tongue, so tongue is again muscular tissues there. So what is happening there? So this muscles, okay, so effector has the muscles of the tongue, so they have received the signal from the motor neuron to spit it out, because you will burn your tongue if you are keeping this hot food in your mouth. What can happen? You'll burn your tongue. So what has to be done? The effector, that is the muscle which is there, so this has to move, okay, so that you are going to spit it out so that you do not burn your mouth. So that is the response. So response is basically when you are keeping a hot food, the receptors are going to receive a signal, then through sensory neuron the signal is sent to the brain. In the brain there is association neuron which can connect the information from sensory neuron to the motor neuron. The motor neuron will carry the information to the effector, that is muscle or a gland. So now the muscles of this effector, that is tongue, so they will get a response from a brain to spit it out. Okay, so your brain will ask you to spit it out, or otherwise you are going to burn your tongue. So in that case what will happen? So now the muscle movement can occur, so that is the response where you are going to spit it out. So that is so any external stimulus or internal stimulus. So basically any stimulus, okay, so this one is now a stimulus which can bring about the changes in the nervous system, which can bring about a response mainly. So that is actually a stimulus. Okay, so here as you can see, sensory neuron convey the impulse from the receptor, that is sense organ, to the main nervous system. So it can be brain or a spinal cord. Okay, then motor neuron carry the impulse from the main nervous system, okay, that is to an effector. So now what is happening? So this motor neuron which is there, so it is basically sensory neuron and motor neuron are connected by the association neuron. Okay, so now the information which was there in the sensory neuron, so it is transferred to the motor neuron. Just a second. So there is some disturbance with the video. I'm just checking that. Yeah, now it is fine, right? Okay, so there was a disturbance in the video. All right, I think it is fine now. Okay, so motor neuron is the one which connects the sensory neuron. Okay, association neuron is the one which connects the sensory neuron and a motor neuron. Once the motor neuron gets the impulse, that is through the brain, so now what will happen? The motor neuron will send a signal to an effector, that is muscle or a gland, to perform an action. So now I touch a hot object, I want to withdraw my hand. So that is occurring because the muscle has, so basically from motor neuron the information is sent to the muscle, so that the movement of my hand is going to occur, so that I am going to draw back my hand. Okay, so association neuron is basically a connecting neuron that are located in the brain as well as the spinal cord, which interconnect the sensory and the motor neuron. So let's say here, so let's say this is a sensory neuron now. This is a association neuron which can be present in brain or a spinal cord. So in this case what will happen? So information is carried by this one. Okay, next there is one more neuron with the dendrites and other things. Okay, so here the dendrites are there, so there is a long process over here. So again there is a terminal branch. So now this particular motor neuron is going to send a signal. So this is a motor neuron, this is association neuron, and this one is sensory neuron. So these three neurons are gonna work, and this you can find in brain and spinal cord. So now the impulses carry to the effector. So effector will perform the action. So this is the pathway or flow of an reflex action. So it is a reflex action we cannot say, because spinal cord will have a role. So since we are mentioning it can be brain or spinal cord, so it is in general one. Okay, so moving on to the next one, nerve. Okay, so nerve, when we mention, okay, 1 second. Yeah, so nerve is a bundle of nerve fiber. What is nerve fiber? It is an axon. So let's say there are group of cell bodies as such. Okay, so group of cell bodies you can find in here. So here one. So you can find a group of cell body, and there has to be a axon. Okay, so let's draw this one. So this is from each one of these axon has to come. Okay, so there is a axon which is entering from each one of these. So each one of these neurons are providing their own axon. So now this is an axon coming from the cell body, and it is enclosed within a tubular sheet. Okay, so this one is now enclosed within a tubular sheet. So this we call as a nerve. Okay, so nerve, when we mention, it is a bundle of nerve fiber. What is nerve fiber? It is a bundle of axon itself. Okay, so bundle of axon or a nerve fiber, so they will separate. Okay, so they'll separate. So basically axons of separate neurons. So 1 second. So they are again separated, so they are not all in connection. So their separation is there because a myelin sheet covering is there, so which will actually avoid the mixing up of an impulse. Okay, so nerve is a bundle of nerve fibers of axons of separate neurons. So these are all separate neurons, and here you can find separate axons enclosed in a tubular sheet. So now this one is a tubular sheet which is enclosing all these nerve fibers. Okay, so nerves are a thread like white structures. So that is, the axon is white in color, which emerged from the brain and spinal cord and ran out to almost all the parts of a body. So here I'll just explain this one. So there is a brain. Okay, so then from brain there are nerve fibers which are arising. Then from the medulla oblongata, the nerve fibers are arising. Okay, so then it will continue down. So here is the trachea. So there are nearly 31 pairs of these nerve fibers you can find. So like this, nerve fibers are spreading everywhere. So nerves are thread like white structures. Okay, so which emerge from the spinal cord or a brain and branch out to almost all the parts of a body. So nerve may be compared to an underground electric cable. So have you ever seen an underground electric cable? So in that case, yes, anybody? Has anybody seen like how exactly underground electric cable looks? So this is how it looks. That is the tubular sheet. Okay, so anyway, cannot see here this thing. Okay, so in this case now the tubular sheet is covering this one. So it is an electric cable containing numerous conducting wires, so each insulated from each other. So there is an insulation around these two axons. Okay, so insulation from each other, so basically from the other. So myelin sheath of an example. Okay, so this is an example of the insulating material which is present. Okay, so myelin sheath of the axon. Okay, so this acts like an insulation and prevents mixing up of the impulse. So mixing of impulse. Okay, so here I'll draw this and explain. Just a second. Yeah, so let's have a look at this one. So this is one axon, this is one axon, there is another axon. So there is a myelin sheet covering has to be there. Okay, so or otherwise there is a chance that the mixing up of impulse can occur. So that is why there is a covering for this one. So this covering is actually the axon part. Okay, so this is the axon or the nerve fiber part which is covered by a myelin sheet. So this one is a myelin sheath now, and this myelin sheath will have one more covering, so that is a neurolemma. Okay, so let's have a look at this one. So there is a neurolemma covering which is present surrounding this on the both the side. Okay, so then also you can find your nucleus there. So there is a nucleus also present. So same way for this as well. Okay, so only one side I have drawn. So there is a nucleus for these cells as well. Alright, so this is a neurolemma along with the myelin sheath. So inner one is a myelin sheath, the outer one what you see, so that is a neurolemma. Okay, yes, so I was discussing about this one, just a second. Yeah, so sensory nerves, motor nerves, and mixed nerves are also there. All right, so sensory nerves, when we mention, so they will contain only sensory fibers bringing impulse from the receptor. So sensory neuron is having a role in bringing a information from receptor, that is sense organs. Okay, from sense organ the information is brought where, that is through the sensory neuron the information is brought to the brain. Okay, so here contains only sensory fibers bringing impulses from the receptor. So from the receptor the impulse is got, so sense organ to the brain or the spinal cord. So now from this receptor, so there are many neurons which will be arranged in here. So from each of these there is actually the nerves which are arising, so they will all bundle together, and there is a formation of this structure called as a nerve. Okay, so example, optic nerve arising from the eye and ending in the brain. So for this one, so let's say this is a eyeball now, so this is a retina layer. Okay, so this retina is having the rods and cones. So there are rods as such. Okay, so rod cells are there, and also there are cones. Then again a rod is there. All right, and then there is a cone. So here on this side also, so there are rods, very few cones we can find it here. So there are rods again. So from each one of these the nerve fiber has to arise. Okay, so from each one of these the nerve fiber has to arise. So here there is, this is called as a blind spot, as there are no nerve cells or sensory cells present. So now from each one of these, there is a nerve which has to arrive over here. Okay, so each one of them are actually sending their nerve fiber. So now all of this will join together and they will form a nerve fiber here, which is actually called as a optic nerve. And this optic nerve is connecting where? It is connecting to the brain. All right, so this is how the functioning will be done. So sensory nerve, when we mention, so mainly from a sensory organ it is taken to the brain. So optic nerve arising from the eye and ending in the brain. Then motor nerve contains only motor fibers. So now from brain the nerve fibers which are arising. So here in brain you can find a cell body. Then you can find this structure. So this is actually a nerve. So like this many neurons will be there, so cell body is there. So this is now again forming a nerve. Okay, so motor nerve contain only the motor fibers carrying the impulses from brain. It is carrying the impulse from brain or spinal cord to the effector organ. So where it is going, it is sending the impulse to the effector organ, that is muscles or gland, to bring them into action. Okay, so now here in this case, so same example if I am taking, so the light rays are going to pass, okay, through this one. So there is a cornea part, there is a lens part. So there is converging can occur to some extent as it enters this cornea, and the further converging and image formation will occur at the retina. So this is the case. So now this image formation which occurs at the retina, so that will be a real image and an inverted image it will be. Okay, so now the muscles which are gonna, once the light rays are going to enter from this one, so the brain is going to send a impulse to the brain either to close your eyes or with respect to muscle coordination. So any function that has to be done, so that is informed by the motor neuron through the brain itself, where it is going to the eye. eye. Okay, so nerve fiber arising or a nerve arising from the brain and supplying the muscles of the eyeball for rotating the eye. So rotation of the eye, when we mention, so that is occurring because of the muscle coordination is occurring. Okay, so mixed nerves are those that contain both sensory and motor neurons. So now a bundle is there, so in this bundle we can find sensory also. Okay, and we can find a motor also. So let's see this one, just a second. So let's say there is motor also, so there are motor neurons also which are present. So this one we call as a mixed nerve. Okay, so this one is a mixed nerve. So example, a spinal nerve, ganglia when we mention, so these are the group of cell bodies what you see here, right? So these are the aggregates of nerve cells or the cell body. So this one is a ganglia now. Okay, so ganglia meaning is basically group of cell body will be there from which the nerve fibers are gonna arise or enter into. Okay, yes, so here these terms we will have a look at. So stimulus. Okay, so what exactly is stimulus? An agent or a sudden change of the external or internal environment that results in change in an organism or any of its body parts. So it is now this one is a stimulus, or it can be a hot object. So let's say I have kept a cooker. Okay, so I directly go touch a cooker, so without even thinking that it is hot. So in that case also, so hot object, cold object, anything that we see around, anything that we hear around, so all those are actually the stimulus. Okay, so now the response has to be created. So change in an organism according to the stimulus or resulting due to stimulus. So as the stimulus, now the I'm touching a hot object, so this one is gonna work. Okay, so that is when I'm responding only, then only we can know that this individual is having a well working nervous system. But if we say that he's touching a hot object and nothing is happening to him, then there is something wrong with the nervous system. Okay, so that is why response, when we mention the change in an organism resulting due to stimulus, so that is called as a response. Impulse, when we mention, so it is a wave of irritability, that is electrical disturbance that sweeps all over the nerve cell. So over the nerve cell we can find the exchange. So there is a sodium potassium pump which occurs. So sodiums are being pumped inside. Okay, so potassium you can leave, so they have mentioned about the sodium. So sodium is being pumped inside, so because of that there is an impulse which is actually conducting. So conduction of an impulse is occurring. Then receptors. Okay, so these are the specialized epithelial cells. Okay, so specialized cells are there which on receiving the stimulus, so set up the waves of impulses towards the central nervous system. So they are going to carry the impulse to the central nervous system, which can be brain or a spinal cord. So these are specialized epithelial cells. On receiving the stimulus, so they set up the wave of impulses towards the CNS. Then effector, so muscles or glands which on receiving the impulse. Okay, so now once the brain sends the impulse to your hand muscles. Okay, since you are touching a hot object, the brain or it is the spinal cord, so mainly it is spinal cord, so it is going to send us impulse to your muscles of a hand, that is through the motor neuron, so that based on your impulse you are going to withdraw your hand. Okay, so that is effector. Effector is basically a muscle or a gland which on receiving the impulse from the brain or spinal cord, so this is going to contract or basically secrete a substance if it is a gland. Okay, so that is the effector, and effector is the one which shows the response. Okay, so any doubt in this? So I think I completed this thing. All right, so let's have a look at the questions before that. So any doubt you have here? No doubt? I think my network, not a network issue anyway, but it is I need to fix this chat option. So chat option is not visible. I need to find out what is the reason for that. Anyway, so let's have a look at the pop quiz. Okay, so sensory neuron conveys the impulse from receptor to the main nervous system. So what is the main nervous system? So it is the central nervous system itself. So whether it is true or false. Okay, so here this one is true. Okay, so true when we mention, so basically sensory neurons are having a function of carrying the impulse from the receptor, that is a specialized epithelial cell. Okay, so this is a specialized epithelial tissue. Okay, so this is a specialized epithelial tissue. So from here the sensory neuron carrying the information to the central nervous system, so that is the brain or the spinal cord. So it is true. Okay, so moving on to next one, a bundle of nerve fibers. Okay, so there are bundle of nerve fibers of separate neurons. Okay, so these are enclosed in a tubular sheath. That means nerve fiber is what? It is an axon. Okay, so group of axons are there. Okay, so group of axons are there which are enclosed within a tubular sheet. So when the group of axons which are enclosed within a tubular sheet, so now this one is a tubular sheet. Okay, so what do we call it? So now this is a tubular sheet, so this we call as a nerve. Okay, so this is the nerve here. Okay, so this is a axon. Okay, and each of them are having a covering for them, that is the covering is myelin sheet covering is there, neurolemma covering is there, which can act as a insulating material. So other than that, so the axon can also be called as a nerve fiber. Okay, so this is a nerve fiber. So next question, the basic structural and functional unit of brain is neuron, nerve, nephron, spinal cord. So structural and functional unit is neuron itself. So the structure of neuron. So one long process is there. Then at the end you can see the branching. So these are the dendrons. So dendrons are again branching. So there is a formation of a dendrite which you can see. So basically the structural, so the structure of spinal cord, the structure of brain. So it is basically having the this neuron itself. Okay, so group of these are present, so that is why it is a structural unit. Then why do we call it as a functional unit? Because this is the one which is performing a function of carrying the impulse from receptor to the brain or mainly the central nervous system and sending back the impulse to the effector so that the response can be obtained. So it is a neuron. Okay, so insulating sheet covering the axon is called plasmalemma, neurolemma, dendrites and a nucleus. So it is a neurolemma. So you can have a look here. So here a myelin sheet covering is there. So there is a myelin sheet. So this myelin sheet again covered by a neurolemma as such. Okay, so there is a neurolemma. Wherever this myelin sheet is not there, so at these junction where there is no myelin sheet, so this is called as a node of Ranvier. Okay, so this is a node of Ranvier. So here in this case it is a neurolemma. Okay, so neurolemma is also a insulating sheet. Plasma lemma, when we mention it is just the cytoplasm part. What is this? So that is a plasma lemma. So neurolemma is actually a myelin sheet which is covering the axon. So before I end the session, so let me just say about it. So one short revision we are conducting on Unacademy app. So all you need to do is download the Unacademy Learner app. So there I am conducting a poll war as well. Okay, so you can take up the poll wars and you can take up these one shot revision. So basically this is gonna help you crack your final. So basically important questions for final exams I'll be covering here. Then other than that, there is a Udan batch and a champions batch. Here the mode of delivery is Hindi and here the mode of delivery is English. So here all the educators are available. So here since the start of this particular batches 1st of Feb, so you will have access to watch the recordings of all these classes and also you can take up the live sessions as well, the ones which are yet to be done. But again here, you will have access to the batches or the courses only if you are having a subscription. So you can use my referral code VANIYT to get a subscription, where you will be getting 10% discount on the referral code. So this is my referral code VANIYT. So only if you are using a referral code, you will get 10% discount. Okay, so also A is for final. So there is this is for plus learners again. That means the batch courses and access where you have, that is for different courses and batches. So those are called as plus learners, those who have taken the subscription. So now we are conducting test series and analysis. So every Saturday and Sunday this will be there. So you can take up these tests also. Again, these are going to help you crack your finals. So you get one more chance, that is Unacademy Prodigy is extended. So that is on Feb 27. The timing is 12 to 1 p.m. So you can find the link in description box as well. So you can enroll for that. And this is my referral code. With this referral code, you can unlock this thing. So unlock 1 second. Yeah, so with this referral code you can unlock the Prodigy test. Okay, so it will ask you unlock code, so you can enter this one. All right, and this is where you can win a scholarship of for a college grant. So different slabs are there, so you can also win the the MacBook, then iPhone, then Amazon Echo Dot, then Amazon watches you can win. Different scholarship slabs are also there. So all it takes is your 60 minutes of your time, and it is a aptitude test. Okay, so you can participate in this one and stand a chance to win the prizes worth rupees 10 crore. Okay, so download the Unacademy app now and try all of these features for free, and you can use the referral code VANIYT for unlocking and also for taking a subscription. So how to watch my special classes? All you need to do is download the Unacademy Learner app, click on get started, then you can enter your mobile number and a OTP, and also sign up using your email ID. So you will have to enter your email ID. Then you can choose your class, that is class 6 to 12 you can choose. Since you are in class 10 ICSE, so you can choose this one. Okay, and then so you can choose the category as ICSE. Then choose the language of your preference, whether you want to learn in English, Hindi or a English. So you can go for this one and then press next. Okay, go to the description of this video and click on the special class link. Then when you click, you can you will follow the link. So then you can click on notify me. Also you can use my code, that is VANIYT, to unlock the special courses. So once you click on notify me, so before the class starts, so 10 minutes before the class starts, so you will be getting a notification regarding the class. So this is the referral code VANIYT to unlock the free courses on Unacademy, and also with this referral code you can take a subscription with 10% discount on the subscription. Okay, so you are going to get 10% off only with the referral code. Then okay, so before I end the session, so I want to say this. So you can subscribe to our channel, that is Unacademy ICSE and ISC boards. Okay, so you will be getting a notification. So these sessions are going to help you crack your finals, as we are coming up with strategies, specimen question paper solving. So we have done all this, so this is going to help you. Also you can download the Unacademy Learner app. So there also we are conducting different classes there as well, so continuation can be there. So you can find these classes also there, different classes for class 9, 10 or 11, 12. So you can add a goal and download the Unacademy Learners app and start attending the sessions. Okay, so see you all in the next session. Bye bye everyone, take care, thank you.